Okay, so this is the SNARS presentation for May 4th, 2024. We're at the restaurant here. We have a DX10, AC DX10 that we borrowed from Tyler. And the reason we brought this in is, it helps if I do the screen. Let's get back going, huh? Okay. Get the screen sharing. So this is from Tyler, the radio. And the reason I wanted to borrow it is, move this out of the way, is he's got a cool capture card that can come out of the radio, and I got into Zoom. So what we see here is on the top right is that's what the information that Derek sees on the radio up here. That's why I wanted to borrow this radio so we can project it. On the left is a little screenshot. We have a paper version of it here, and it says what we're gonna say. So in voice, we're gonna our call sign, the club call, SNARS is W7TA, and the exchange is 59, which means you got a great signal, or in CW is 599, and it's the state with 2 letters followed by the county. So we say NV for Nevada, WAS for Washoe County. So if they're in Carson, they say NVCAR. And if they're on a county line, which means like they're on 2 counties, they could be on Carson and Douglas, it would be 59 NVWAS/CAR. So the way it works is each station on the air is giving their location. Their location is the state with the county, because remember, you got 8, what I mentioned earlier in the earlier presentation, you got 8 different states: Washington, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, Wyoming, Oregon, and Utah. So that's what we're going to do. On voice, we would say Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha, because that's phonetics. You can say W7TA, they may or may not hear it right, but phonetically you'd say Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha, and then the exchange would say 59 Norway Victor Whiskey Alpha Sierra. Now you could say 59 NBWAS, and depending how they hear it. So that's a little bit of that. Now I want to show you one other thing, and that would be the 7QP website, 7qp.org. By the way, if I'm correct, one of our locals in Reno got the 7QP started. I believe, if I'm correct, it was Tom Toromino, which is K5RC, W7RN. I think he put this together and got it started years ago. It is the second, I think the third most popular contest. The first one is the California QSO Party in first weekend in October. The second was last weekend, the Florida QSO Party, and this is the third. So 7QP shows you all the different, if you look at that little picture, it's a little hard to see, but this is all the states: Washington, Idaho, Oregon, Nevada. Oh, I forgot Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona. And I want to show you, there's a thing called plan. These are all the group people that have planned. And when we look at this, this shows you Arizona and all the different counties. And then on the right is who is operating in the county. Now, they don't have anybody in Navajo. That doesn't mean nobody's getting to get on. They just hadn't signed up for it. So then we have Idaho for all the counties. And we have Montana for all the counties. And then going down, we have Nevada. So you'll see us here with Washoe, W7TA. Also WB2AWQ, that's Howie. He's probably doing CW with his son up at his house. K7RC, that's Skip. K7DGW, he's running a remote up to K5RC or W7RN on the Big Hill overlooking Virginia City. There's us, W7TA, and Wes, I guess he's going to be on later. Is that right, Wes? Good. At his home. N7E, that's a 1-by-1 call. So that's 1 letter by the number 1 letter. It's a short call. Those are all the 1-by-1s are special up to 15 day at a time call signs that you can get. And you can see who's going to run those. Some people are running rovers, and they're going to different counties. In Oregon, boy, they're totally solid. In Utah, and then Washington, and then Wyoming. So that's a little bit about 7QP. Okay, now we're going to get on, and why don't you turn on the volume there, and I'll put. Here we got CW on 14068. Oh, you got hit box.
No, it's the mode.
Okay, we're getting it all set up.
Yes.
One of the great things about contesting is you get to figure out all the bugs and the little things in your system to get it working. So it's very exciting and it's very arduous. Unfortunately, this radio is one that Derek has at home too. So here we go. Full CW.
WA7NB.
Okay, so this is N1MM. Who's going to keep doing this on paper? N1 N1MM is logger. It's free, and so it's 599 instead of 59 because it's CW. The last one is the tone. So we've got WA7NB, and what's that? AZ something. Okay. Typically, at least when I run it at home, I'm just I do the CW or the voice, and I just type it as I go. But we're doing two parts here.
I'm just looking for another one.
What's it say?
AZPMA.
PMA. Okay, AZPMA. So that's Arizona, and PMA is the county. Okay, we're going to press enter. So up on the top part is our log, and the bottom part is the information. Now, you see these function keys down at the bottom here? We don't have them programmed up to the radio, but if they were, you could just press, CQ, F1, and it would tell the radio, instead of doing it by hand with the CW, it would say CQ, CQ, blah, blah, blah. If you record it with a voice recorder in here, you can do the same thing. You know, if you're running it for a half hour, an hour, or 2 or 3 hours, or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 hours, it gets tiring. So it's nice to just press the button and do that. So he's just looking for some CW contact. Any questions or any thoughts? Okay, nice and loud. Come up here. I can't hear. We can't hear between that and that.
He's outside.
Antenna's outside.
It's the action.
You're saying you can actually key it,
by the computer.
the computer's keying it, he's not.
No.
No, I'm
Okay.
keying it.
There's a key here. Let me back up. There's an actual key. He's keying it. Okay, right now.
Okay,
We have an antenna outside and we're on the air live.
right,
The second part to that is in N1MM with the function keys. We don't have it hooked up. If we have it all hooked up to the computer, that's how I do it at home. I can press a button and it will send it. But he's doing it right now on his own key.
I'm searching for something I can hear, you know?
So he's doing what's called searching and pouncing. So you see on the screen, it says run and S and P. So run means calling CQ. Hello, CQ, this is W7TA. We'll hear somebody on voice doing that. And then you work the other guy, and then you come back, and then you keep calling. So it's like you just stay in here on the frequency, and they come to you. So the S and P is search and pounce, which is what he's doing. You go searching, you're going up and down the band, and then you're calling. So the person that is running is on the frequency. Search and pounce goes and grabs them. Okay, he's going to do some CW here. By a show of hands, how many people have ever run 7QP? 15%. Yeah, great. The thing about contest is you don't have to be competitive to be in a contest. People mistake that for I've got to compete. And you don't have to compete, you can. The beautiful thing is there's a lot of places. So if you wanted to work a whole bunch of all these counties, you know, people could get on in their county chases. For the DX contest, if you want to work some DX, it's very rare. It's a great place to do it. He's working another guy here. Yeah, software will tell you if you have a dupe. So that's correct. So if I type in W7N WA7NB, see how it says dupe here in red? The idea is you can only work them once.
I just wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, sure. You can only work them once per band mode. So we're on 20 meters, so you could work them CW, voice, and digital. Okay, did you work that guy?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so what's it called?
WY7M.
Whiskey Yankee 7 Mike. Why?
WYWAS.
Okay, it's WY. Okay, so he's in Wyoming in another county called WAS, whatever that is.
Washington.
We'll do one or two more CW and then we'll switch over to voice. We didn't set up digital today. That's another possibility. But I do want to tell you something. I have rules. It's always good to print out the rules because the rules are different for different contests. And as much as I remember them, I don't remember them. So it tells me what's going on here. Looking for something to tell you. What was I going to? Oh, scoring. So if you're going to do a contest and you want to be competitive, right? It's the total score. It's 2 points per sideband QSO. It's 3 points for CW and 4 points for digital in this contest. So they're saying, let's give the people that are on digital a little more credit, a little more help. CW next in phone. Okay, county lines. Anybody have any questions about the county line where you're on at least 2 or more counties? Now you got to come up. Can't hear you between the noise there and the CW. So we'll get you on voice. Okay, howdy.
Hi, on county lines. Question is it like how close to the line do you have to be? Is it where your radio is? Is it where your antenna is?
Okay, so the question is how close to the county line? Well, let's go look at the rules and see if they tell us. I don't see anything on here, but it might be an FAQ. I can tell you that on field day, as an example, you got to be within, I think, 1,000 feet. So traditionally, it's some limited distance. Bring the tape measure, right? But there was some. Oh, yeah. He says nobody's going to come and bug you. I do want to mention that mostly answer your question. Yeah, I don't see it on here. It might be in an FAQ. Usually they'll tell you what the deal is. One interesting thing about working county line. Let's say, you know, our friend Bill is out on a county line, and he's on the Elko Humboldt County line. So he gives us NBWAS, I think it's /ELK. Or it might be NBWS/NVELK. I enter it in the computer that way, and it puts it in as 2 contacts because he's on a county line. And then when I work him, it's 2 contacts. So that's a pretty big increase, right? It's a 2-fold increase. If you're on a 3 county line, which is possible, right, in a little triangle, you know, in some place where you this. Storyline Washington. If they're there, they've got to give 3 names, 3 counties, but then it's 3 of them, and so that's a pretty cool way to have. To the best of my knowledge, any of the QSO parties, it's usually a state QSO party. This is 8 states, right? Yeah, please. Yeah, Greg Moore, which 2 counties? 3. Pershing, Nye, and Lander. Okay. Oh, 7 QP, 500 feet. You have to be. Okay, 500 feet. Eric, 500 feet. Okay, thanks for looking that up. Was it on the FAQs? Oh, you found it. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So if you want to work a lot of guys and go out to a place like that, you can be on multiple counties. That's 3 counties. Last year, we did a very small 7 QP. We were on the Douglas Carson line. We were at Fuji Park across from Costco and Carson. And we were there with the 4x4 group. Yeah. So we did a combination of telling people about that and a little bit of ham radio. The conditions were poor. Okay, what questions do people have in here? Anything? Yeah, come on up. And so, because you got to come here. I'm deaf between these 2 noises. We'll get you on here.
What about a state line?
What about a state line? Now that's a great question. I would imagine the answer is yes. If you're on it, because you're in multiple states here. What do you think, Bob?
Same thing, you get getting double contact that you're working. Let's say you go to Denial or Nevada.
Yeah.
Nevada, you're in Oregon.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So in this, say it again.
I don't know how we will do.
Yeah. So if you were on a 2 state, well, here's the thing: a 2 state is really a 2 county line. Remember, in the exchange, it's the first 2 letters. Well, in this case, we did Arizona and Wyoming. So if you were between where Idaho and Nevada?
In Idaho, Nevada is up on the water.
Okay.
Humboldt and Oregon.
Yeah. So you'd say NV HUM for Humboldt / ID 3 letters. Yeah, IDA. Thanks. Most most state QSO parts. First of all, a QSO means a contact. A conversation is what it really means. And if we do it in person, I'm with Tom and I talk to him. We call it an eyeball QSO, meaning it's in person and I see him. But I guess if you're on Zoom, you can have an eyeball QSO also. So if you're on the repeater or you're on HF and you're talking to somebody, nice to talk to you. How you doing? Matter of fact, there's a fellow out of who's now W7DAI. He used to be WB6DAI. Ray got a Carson or so. And we got a conversation one day, and one thing led to another. And he said he grew up in Redwood City. I said, I have a cousin in Redwood City. He's a Hamlet. He knows him. So, you just get in a conversation. Contesting usually is not conversation. It's make the contact, give the exchange, and go on to the next guy. That doesn't mean you can't say hi, how you doing? Some people will do that and have a chit chat. Okay, let's see if we can get one more, and then we'll go to phone. Now, on the information here, you can be a single operator. You can be high power or low power. You can be low power is 100 watts or more. You could be QRP, which is 5 watts. You could do CW phone or digital, any digital mode except for the WSJT. So probably PSK 31 or RIDI. You can do mixed. You could do multi-single. So we would be multi-single, being multiple operators, a single transmitter. Or you can be multi. So up at W7RN, multiple people, multiple radios. So they're probably like on 3 radios at once. In this contest, they have one about Mobile and Rover. So all sorts of things. The other thing is they have certificates for the top 3 finishers in each category within and outside the 7 call area, and DX. Minimum of 25 QSOs to get an award. Get one more, and then we'll go to phone. What time do we have there, Mr.?
It's just 5 of them.
Okay, 5 and 9. Very good. Okay, here we go.
There's fun to go, there's keys, so there's keyers you can type on the keyboard and see what it is.
Here in Indiana. Okay, this is K9 here in Indiana. Yeah, and it's what's OWT? Okay, so this one, let's go over to voice if we can.
Okay.
This one was K9IU. Anybody know what call sign that might be? Any guesses? Indiana University. Very good, IU. So they're in Indiana. Now, what's interesting is this weekend is the Indiana QSO Party. So in the Indiana QSO Party, they give their call sign, their IN and OWT, and I think it won't take it. I'm correct. That's because we're inside the 7QPs. The 7QP takes states, and it takes those 8 states with the letters, even though they're in a different QSO party. So that becomes a real challenge when there's more than one QSO party at the same time, particularly if the login software doesn't take care of it. If I was going to run multiple ones, you can open up different windows. So it's one of the problems is that the different contests don't always have the same exchange. So it makes it kind of goofy. We'll put IN. Okay, so we've got 3 QSOs so far. And let's see if you can find any on voice there. Anybody want to come up and operate? Well, Elmer, you? Robin? No, okay, that's okay. That's okay. We'll do it. Okay, so you can see up in the top right on the screen, he's on 14323. Moving up the
I'm trying to find a voice.
trying to find somebody called CQ. So guess what? how many people are technicians in? Okay, maybe 10%, 5%, 10%. You can get on 10 meters. And maybe this afternoon. In the morning, 10's not always so good. You'll have to see, but you can get on and operate. How many people are generals? Okay, quite a few. So you got to be sure to look at your band, what's the word I'm looking at? The band map. So a general is 175. No, it's 225. I think it's 225 to 350. So you got to know your band pieces. And then here's a trick question, but not. How many KC above the bottom or below the top, if it's foam, do you need to be in order to operate? Any idea? 3. So he says 3. Any other answers? How far below the bottom, above the bottom? I don't know. Is it 225? I think it is. For a general. Okay, so if you're 225 for a general, how far above 225? He says 3.
0 because it's upper side.
He says 0 upper sideband. What other answers are there? I say 1.5, but really about 1.2. So here's my idea is you got about a 2.4 kc roughly ballpark bandwidth of a sideband signal. Is that right? About. So if you split it in half, it's 1.2. So I would go no lower than 226.2, but that's a little tight. I go 226.5. So I split the 3 with you.
But it depends on how the radio display is set up. If it's set for a carrier as opposed to the center of your passband. And I
Okay.
think usually the ones I use have been set up.
So Derek has a different answer. It depends on the radio. The thing is, you got to know how it all works. So you're within the band, the subband of the band,
Or stay away from the edge.
or stay away from the edge. Okay. Now, how many people are advanced? Any advances in here?
Used to be.
Advanced class. We got two advanced classes. Extra advanced class. Okay, so there are no new advanced classes. And if you're still in advanced, you can have different, you have to look at the band plan, different frequencies. Only 25 kilohertz. Bottom line is go to ARRL.org and click on band map. I was with my brother-in-law down in the Bay Area about 2 weeks ago, and he had a really old band map. We had changed 40 meters to add some more, and he didn't know where it was. I thought he was in the wrong part of the band. Okay, let's see if we can find here on 40 meters. I mean, on 20 meters. Anything on 20?
I can't hear what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna stop talking.
I think, why don't you take over?
Okay.
And then you can talk into the mic.
Well, can you come over here and be that?
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll need it.
So I don't know if they're, how do you turn, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna have you hold it, and then if we need to, I'm gonna have you put it right there.
Okay. No, yeah. It's right now the big one, this one dial to the fastest. Okay, the wide dial. Yeah.
And what the scope is.
Okay, so if you look up in the top corner there, you'll see the display on the screen here. And on top of it, it's what's called a waterfall. And at the bottom is what's called a waterfall. On the top, it's a band scope, right? So the stronger signals have a larger spike above that line that you see near the center. And then there's a history of it that goes on below that line. That's called the waterfall. The waterfall is the history of what's been strong at that frequency. And the history and the band scope help you find other signals where somebody's transmitting. And then you use that to zero in on to see if it's someone you want to call to. And then you listen for their call sign. In this case, are they doing 7QP? Is somebody calling CQ? And you just want to have a rag chew with somebody, or Is it some DX station? You know, but the band scope and the waterfall, they're neither is required, but they're very helpful features for finding things. So then what you do is you tune in on that signal.
Okay, hold on. Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha, Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha. Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha, Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha.
57 Tango Alpha 59 Wyoming Truck. Romeo Oscar, Roger.
Roger, 59 Nevada Whiskey Alpha Sierra. Give me your call phonetically, slowly, please.
Okay, my call is Whiskey, Yokohama 7, Quebec, Papa. Wyoming 73. Roger.
Roger, Roger. 73, did you get our exchange?
Yeah, Roger, Roger. 73, good luck. 7, Quebec, Papa.
Okay, thank you.
So, so in any event, that's what you're seeing down below the other things up above. The top right, there's an S meter, which shows the signal strength or the strength of the noise where you're tuned to. On receive, when you start transmitting, that meter turns into either SWR or power output or how much current your radio's drawing, the finals are drawing. You can select what it will show, but it will show different information during transmit and receive. So very useful thing. Then the top right, you'll see that's the exact frequency that in this case, the center of that window is tuned to. There's different ways to adjust it on this radio, but I got it set that the center of the screen is where the radio is tuned to. Okay, that's why I have the same radio, and that's how I like to operate mine. So then you tune to it. Yeah, you just change me. Okay, so just hold on. Let me readjust this. There's 3 settings for this. And that's I think the most useful. I like to set it so there's just a little bit of noise actually in the background. Then you can see the weak stations. All right, so you see, you're going to see like noise that sometimes things will go across the screen, like radar and other things will go across the screen and see a squeak along there. It's not a problem; it just happens, right? But you know, he's on 10 meters right now, and he's tuning around looking to see if he can see anyone. You also see that noise changes over time. There are devices and things around, and maybe in your home, and maybe nearby that create noise. There's potentially other things that somebody's electric fence can cause noise, things like that. Where I am, people have electric fences for their keep their horses in and such, and if they don't take good care of them, that can cause problems. You'll see other things on the screen. Now he's tuning right now to make sure that the antenna is tuned. Hopefully it tunes up. There you go.
On 15.
He's on 15 meters. So you see the frequency changed a lot. It was 28 point something. Now it's 21 point something. This is a different band. This is a 15 meter band. And he was on the 10 meter band. The higher the frequency, the shorter the wavelength, and the smaller the band, right? So 10 meters is close to 30, it's just under 30 megahertz. 15 meters at 21. We were on 40 meters before, 20 meters before, which was at 14 megahertz. That's where I was operating. No, he's tuning around. That was a digital station. You heard making that kind of howling kind of sound. The digital stations actually send out what you would think of as sound, but the sound is encoded digital information.
So I'm not hearing anything right now. Well, I got to get above. I'm not hearing anything on phone, but you heard that digital signal. That was probably WSJT. Yes. What did I do? How do you get out of this? Back. Okay. So it's 074, and the reason we want to tell you about this is there's plenty of noise on there, okay? If we had WSJT on FT8, we'd be decoding it. Now, it's not valid in the contest. The reason I'm interested in hearing it is there tells me there's propagation going on right now. And that's an important thing. But I'm not hearing too much, so we're gonna go back to 20 meters. And I'm gonna give this back to you. Thank you. Please continue. How about the antenna you have out?
Oh, so I have an antenna attached to my car out there. That's an end-fed half-wave antenna. And I've got it propped up on a 10-meter pole that I set up. I use that for Parks on the Air POTA. So I do a lot of SOTA and I do a lot of POTA. SOTA is the one I love, right? But I also do a lot of POTA, and that's the more relaxing, easier, more comfortable thing to do. And I just I use a flagpole mount that goes into the 2x2 receiver in the back of my car. And I attach the pole, I put the pole in there and it holds it up. And so I can put that antenna up pretty quickly. And I attach the antenna to the top of the pole and I push it up. And I have it in an inverted L configuration. Got a short and a long side. It's one wire and it's fed from the end of the wire. And then I use the coax as the counterpoise. The coax hangs down and then goes into my car, and I can operate POTA right from my car. Very comfortable, even in the winter. Yeah. I think there is, but you know, it depends on like, what is it you're looking for from the antenna? Are you looking for the ultimate, antenna to get it out in the ultimate way? That's hard to say if either one is better. But for me, I use inverted L because it's very convenient. Because the short side hanging down doesn't get the unum, which is the transformer at the end of the antenna that the feed line connects to. That doesn't get real close to the ground because you don't want that too close to the ground. And then the long one, I only need one other support somewhere, and that can even be a rock on the ground. So I can tie the end to something, and I use kite string on the kite string winder, cheap one. I'll see it later if you're interested. And I just tie that up to anything, to a rock, to a tree, anything. I do the same thing when I go up on mountains. Like this week, Craig was left, and I went up on 3 mountains this week, and I set up the same kind of antenna up there. And there in the summer, for example, I'll attach my mast. It's shorter than this one out here because I got to carry up the mountain. I'll attach it to something, usually a tree or short tree or a tree stump or whatever I can find.
Roger, thank you for
and then I can run the feed line around and get a shade on some summits. Some summits I can't. I can get behind a rock if there's heavy
Washoe, Whiskey Alpha Sierra, Norway Victor,
That's the
Whiskey
big
Alpha
issue on
Sierra.
mountains is wind. So, so the answer is, what you want to do for antennas is look at what it is you are trying to get out of that antenna. It may be getting the furthest DX you can get, or it may be some easy to set up. The inverted V or inverted L are pretty quick to set up, but the inverted L, like I said, the unum, you don't really want that very close to the ground. It interferes with propagation. You won't get out so well. So this way works better. There are people who use the sloper, and I started out with a sloper. I will never go back for the things I do. Did you want to say something else? No, okay. Yeah.
Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha, Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha.
Okay. You can legally contact anyone in any frequency. You have a legal right to go on, right? You're not allowed to interfere with other people, right? But
Whiskey
there's some,
7
you know,
Tango Alpha,
rules
Whiskey
regarding
7
you should
Tango
have learned
Alpha.
about them, that they had that context. Now, there are bands that work better at certain times of the day, right? Like 80 and 40 meters generally speaking work at night, not so well during the day, although I use 40 meters a lot during the day when I'm doing the mountains. And I can explain why, but I do use that quite a bit. 20 meters, generally speaking, is good any time of the day. And then the higher bands, around the middle of the day, they work best. And at night, they generally don't work so well. But it does depend on, you know, what the sun is doing. It does depend on your solar weather, it's called, right? You know,
Whiskey 7
there are
Tango
websites
Alpha,
you can look
Whiskey
at to
7
see what's
Tango
going on,
Alpha.
what they're predicting. So the answer is,
Yeah,
from day to day.
hold on one sec. Again. Alpha Zulu Sierra Charlie Zulu Roger. Is that Alpha Zulu Sierra Charlie Zulu Roger? Okay, 5-9 Norway Victor Whiskey Alpha Sierra. QSO Roger. Thank you.
Now, you heard QSL. There are something called Q signals. QSL means confirmed contact. If you have a contact with another station, you can QSL online nowadays. When I was a young ham in the 1960s, all we had were postcards. In fact, I have postcards from the Soviet Union and Poland and Czechoslovakia and a bunch of the other Eastern Bloc countries from that time. I still have them. And people still use QSL cards now. I have some. I don't send them out very much. It's expensive, but if people send me a card, I send them. But there are Q signals.
Whiskey 7 Tango Alpha. Okay, 5-9 Norway Victor Whiskey Alpha Sierra. Your call again? Okay, thank you. Kilo 7 Alpha Charlie. Did you copy the 5-9 NBWAS?
Yeah.
Thank you much.
So you really want to learn at least some of the basic Q signals. And I'll be honest, I don't know them, but there are some that are really commonly used, and you want to learn these. QSL is one that means confirming contact. It also means confirming that that they got you the information you said, or you can confirm that you got the information you said. People use it that way as well.
Have this for 1 second. So here's an example of a person calling CQ. Remember we're talking about running, searching, and bouncing. So he's running because he's calling CQ. I just worked him. KK78. Just listen to this for a second. He's talking to another guy. Okay. Somebody asked a question on the chat. How come the frequency on the on N1MM is not changing? It's because I don't have cat control set up with his radio. It's not my radio. So what I did was I typed in 14304. You see at the top here, and the reality is in the contest, it just needs to be in the band. It doesn't have to be the exact frequency, but normally, as you go up and down the band, just like where it says 14262.9 up here on the radio on the right, it would track it. The reason it's not tracking it is I got the radio from another ham. I don't have all the drivers and stuff. So for now, it's not tracking it. Okay, we're going to be wrapping up here. So let's see if we have any questions. Anybody questions on Zoom? Put it in chat. Any questions here in the restaurant?
I wanted to mention one more.
Okay, we're going to have a little closing here, and then I'll wrap it up, and then we'll we'll go from there. Thank you, Derek, here.
So I want to make one more point. When you're listening on the radio, there's a bunch of noise and stuff. If you're not used to doing this, it's going to be really hard to copy and stuff. Really hard to understand what's happening. You train your ear. As you listen, you learn to hear better, right? You learn to pull out of that noise what's going on. You also learn to adjust the radio. For example, one of the things that people often do is they turn the RF gain up. So most radios have two gain controls. One's the RF gain, that's the RF frequency, amplifiers, preamps and things like that. And the other is the audio gain, right? So you got to learn how to use those. They work together. Don't just turn the RF gain all the way up thinking, I'll hear the most sensitive stuff. Actually, what that can do is make it difficult to hear the sensitive stuff because you're actually amplifying the noise too much and you're hiding that. And then you learn how to use the bandwidths and how narrow and wide to make your signal bandwidth. You'll learn how to use those as well over time. But those are skills you have to work at to learn. But it's part of the fun. Okay, thanks, Barry. I just wanted to make that.
Okay, very, very good. So, hopefully you learned a few things. Mostly, if you want to have an Elmer, I'm the president of the club. Come up and figure out how to get an Elmer for you. And a lot of on the air stuff you learn from other people, protocols, how to. You sit them down and you show them how to do stuff. In a way, it's kind of like driving a car when we were 16 or 15, and now you just drive it, right? So this completes the presentation of the live 7QP. Just to let you know, I'm going to go home and I'm going to continue under W7TA. We'll add some more to the log. And thanks for everybody being here. And we'll stop the recording.